It is the off season, which means that it is a slow news time. Not much is going on, but surprisingly, we actually have an international event that happened this past weekend where Red Bull invited out T1 to face off against some of Europe's top teams, including actual G2 and K Corp, who are now going to be joining the LEC, but notably this was not the roster that they will be playing in the LEC with. But it was a for fun event that, yes, teams did take somewhat seriously on Europe's side. You get the chance to face up against T1. Yeah, they're going to try and take their best crack at them, because then that's a moment that you can talk about for a long period of time. For T1, they were dealing with jet lag. They were a little tired. Them losing any games here is kind of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but it's good entertainment. I wouldn't be talking about this if there wasn't some drama that came out of it, though. As always, if you're not subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the button down below and do so. I put out 4 videos a week on League of Legends esports content and League in general that you might enjoy. And I know the majority of people that watch this are not currently following, so, the buttons lighten up. Press it. I had a whole other video planned on LCS rosters and comparing them to burger chains here in America and like the off-season moves that they made, but I am currently sick with COVID, so I can't leave the apartment other than letting these little ones out. So that video will come probably next week whenever I can actually go out and do things. So, starting at the beginning of this event, T1 comes in and they just start smashing some of the smaller teams. The whole point of the event is that it builds up ultimately to G2, who is the peak of European competition right now, facing off against T1, the literal world champions, but T1 notably would be on 5 or 6 games at that point and would be a little bit tired out. You would think the biggest headline that would come from this weekend is the fact that G2 was able to beat T1. Yike putting on one of the best performances against an international team that we've ever seen him do, and Broken Blade actually doing a good job of bouncing back against Zeus, who notably was smashing everybody. Like, Zeus is clearly the best top laner in the world, and it's not even close. He was gapping everybody, including BB, for almost the entire game that G2 played against T1, but by the end, the lead that Yike was able to have and the team fights that G2 were able to win were allowing him to come back into the game. By the end, Yone was perfectly fine, but ultimately it was the Bel'Veth that was just disgusting. But the thing is, that wasn't the main focus point, because even though European fans and G2 fans are probably going to use that as motivation for excitement towards 2024's Worlds, being like, yeah, we beat them now, we could beat them then, even though we all kind of like know in the back of our minds that that's not truly the case. The bigger story came from the biggest organization in Europe right now, and some fans might not like hearing that, but it is true. K Corp is the biggest org in Europe right now, bar none. The K Corp X events have sold out arenas around Europe, including where they held the World's 2019 finals at the Accors Hotel Arena, I believe it is, in Paris, France. They have almost become the French national team in terms of fandom in a way. I don't know how Kometo did it, but he's got the only organization that feels like truly grassroots at its core. Like Koi, it seems like there's a large following for, and by all means, anytime Abai was streaming, he was pulling in some of the biggest numbers that the LEC had ever seen. But it feels like K Corp is just on a whole other level. I mean, when they do their watch parties at their stadium that they are building separate from the LEC, I'd imagine it's going to be massive. But they pissed off the Korean crowd this weekend pretty heavily, and also pissed off the Reddit crowd. But the Reddit crowd comes to T1's defense a lot. Specifically, whenever they did this.
The Karmine Corp fans booing.
So we played the Worlds.
Now, if you follow me on Twitter, what I'm about to say is not surprising. I don't care that they booed Faker. Sure, it is a show match. Yes, it's probably not the right time and place to do it. Even as somebody who does enjoy booing in sports and in esports, that didn't feel like the right time, and it was a small subset of K Corp fans that did boo him. Sometimes you just gotta let that shit brush off your shoulders, and it's fine, and don't take offense into everything, and don't project the actions of a few onto everybody, and quite frankly, one of the biggest fan bases in esports. This is the same thing that happened with my favorite organization of all time in Optic. Like, even though most PC people might not know their impact in console games, there's no denying when you look at Call of Duty, viewership jumps whenever Optic is playing because they're the biggest Call of Duty fan base bar none. They show up, they are loud when they are winning, they are quiet and booing otherwise. We even got a chant going in New York saying "fuck you Standy" to one of the players whenever Optic was playing.
Makes it easy on himself and always takes you back-to-back rounds. This is aggressive on offense, by the way. Rocker, it's a triple hit, but they get shut down. Headshots rolling through. Hugo Childs on outskirts. That is so many headshots in a row. And the man that was perfect yesterday on this map, yet to find a kill.
That's cyberbullying, guys. Come on. Wow, we're getting creative with the comms today, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Like, that's so much worse than booing. And it's nowhere near as controversial as this one is. And it's because League of Legends fans tend to be on the softer side. They want respect. They want this admiration for all players to just be there. Like, whenever you go up against Faker, it's like, oh, I am playing against Faker. I'm going to respect him. That's not how sports works, people. Which is odd considering we're talking about the biggest esport in the world, but yet people don't seem to get that mentality is a part of it. As a fan, if you can do anything to throw the other team off, you do it. That includes their fans as well. When you have home field advantage, you take advantage of that. And yes, you do boo. Now, I'm aware that that's not even a full American thing, nor a full European thing. It's more of like a Northeast US mentality where in sports, we do that. Look at Philadelphia. They're 20 times worse than we are here in New York. New York, we're just like rowdy and rambunctious. Philly, they're a whole different breed. But the fact that all K-Corp fans are getting chastised for this group of people booing here is just ridiculous. But what's going to happen now going forward is that K-Corp fans are going to boo in the appropriate moments when it is right to boo. Whenever I would be out there booing as well. Whenever they're playing in the LEC or they, God forbid, they make it to Worlds and play against T1. T1 walks out and they boo. Oh man, people are going to lose their shit. But you know what? I'm all for it. Hell yes. This isn't the first time I've said this either. I directly talked about this on Hotline League whenever Doublelift was there.
I'm not a big fan of Americans booing foreign teams because they're gonna, dude. Come on, like we need to win. Like we can't be like the rude, like super BM fan base. That's just so messed up.
I know you said you love New York, but that's one thing that you're gonna have to get used to when being on the East Coast.
Really, like New York people like just boo the away team, like Perma?
Yes. Well, that's not even just New York. That's a Boston. That's a Philly.
I was going to say, I'm originally
on the
from
East Coast.
Boston, and now I'm in LA, so I think I'm probably pretty hated in New York. And yeah, we booed the shit out of the Knicks and Lakers.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So let me just offer a piece of advice that I'm sure most K-Corp fans know already, but take it from somebody who's been a part of one of those fan bases that dominates every other team in their esport. Ignore the haters and do you. Don't be disrespectful in terms of your own players or personally going at anybody else. That's not appropriate and never will be. However, booing and trying to get a mental advantage for your team is perfectly fine. And don't stop just because a few people on social media try and have a problem with it. People's hatred towards the popular kid aside, this event was incredible and more proof that we need international events around the world of League of Legends. This hit like 500k viewers, I think, concurrent, which is more than we typically get elsewhere. Now, granted, we're in the middle of the off-season. Things are dry. Sahara Desert levels of dry right now as we just wait for January to come and the game to finally get back. Hell, you realize like 3 champions have come into the game of League of Legends that we have not seen on a professional level yet because it's been that long since we've had a goddamn update to pro play. People are fiending for anything right now, and it's great. And I wish more things like this were the case because we used to have All-Stars, which went away whenever Riot just didn't find the event to be doing that well. Viewership wasn't that great for it. And it's because, yeah, you tried to mix it up and like avoid teams directly competing with each other so much that it took away from everything. The for fun stuff didn't really matter. Like, you can make events for fun, as shown by this event, by placing some limitations on drafting and making sure that, you know, it's not just straight up competition. You have to change things up consistently. But show matches like this are incredible. The fact that they packed out this stadium is unbelievable, and once again gives credence to why does the LEC only have one roadshow again next year? The LEC is making a big deal out of all these changes that are coming to the studio, which by all means are needed. I don't want to like write those off. They are a big deal, but they are not as big of a deal as getting the LEC out of Berlin for major events like finals. I get that there's 3 finals with winter, spring, and summer. But the fact that a team is going to be, well, 2 teams are going to be qualifying to MSI out of the studio again is not good. you are able to do events like this during the off season. Granted, T1 is involved, but I think the turnout would have been this way no matter what because K-Corp was there. But if you see this, why and how do you not look at this and say, yeah, we've got, what, 10,000 people in the arena? We really can't monetize that to make that work and profitable? If so, somebody's failing somewhere on the LEC side. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about on this particular event. It was a great watch. Thank you to Red Bull for putting it on. It was so much fun and entertainment. The next tournament that we technically have in the League of Legends ecosystem is actually the streamer tournament from Dantes for North America. It obviously isn't going to get the same level of traction that a pro tournament like this with T1 and Faker is going to have, but it's going to be pretty big for the North American ecosystem. And if you haven't heard about it, go check out Dantes' Twitter, his Twitch, or literally check out any of the players that are playing in the tournament. Otherwise, I think the LEC officially starts up in a month, and we have not heard anything on the LCS yet, but you best believe when we do, I will finally be talking about it. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like, and I'll see you on the next video. Adios.